Hello, everybody. Hey, this is Jeff Bird with the Encouragement Corner. Hey, thanks for joining me. So, today I want to talk about something that I've really been a little bit overwhelmed with for a while. I've been thinking about it, and some thoughts have come to mind that has been just incredibly helpful to me, and I think it will be to you. And that's the topic of wounding, of wounds. And I've started realizing that, hey, everybody I know, I've been becoming a lot more honest with myself about, the wounds. And I've realized that everybody that I know or that I ever meet is carrying a wound. And the thing is, sometimes it's really hard to see. We do not live in a culture that celebrates being wounded. We live in a culture that wants to hide wounds. We want to hide it behind success. We want to, and so much of even our attempt at success is, and efforts there are informed by our sense of wounding. We don't feel like somebody, so we got to be somebody. We got to try to be somebody. And we got to post on Facebook and show everybody else how much of a somebody we are, right? How wonderful our life is, how great it is to be us. That's often what our posts look like, and I'm guilty of that too. I don't want to show. I told my wife recently, I said I just want to take a picture of our unraked backyard with all of the branches and the leaves and everything, so people can see our reality, not just our highlight reel. But anyways, I started thinking about these wounds, and I thought, I'm taking a course on positive intelligence by Shirzad Shamin. And what happened is the whole reason that he created this course after 30 years of clinical depression based on his identity that he received from the wound in his family. He had an abusive childhood, emotionally and I think otherwise, and he came to the conclusion that, hey, he was just no good, and he was depressed, clinically depressed for 30 years before he started recognizing to identify that voice that speaks to him and says, hey, you're no good, you're awful, you're dumb, you're an idiot, you're whatever. And we all know that voice. He calls it the voice of the judge. And I'm like, everybody, universally, everybody knows the voice of the judge. Jesus said the whole world lies in the evil one. And, Satan or Satan, that's actually not a name, it's a title, and it means adversary. The Satan is the one we call Satan or the devil, but he's the main one, the main adversary. He's an adversary. He's not for anything, he's just against everything, and he's always against us and telling us how awful and no good we are. That's what causes the wound. Often, I think about in the Civil War, a lot of people, I've done some study on that, but a lot of people did not die from their wounds. They died from the infection that entered through the wound. They knew how to treat the wound, but they didn't understand infections very well back then. So I think that same thing. I think it's such a picture of what happens to us. We have a wound. Somebody mistreats us, somebody talks down to us, somebody devalues us, but then that infection that enters through that wound is our sense of our own identity. We're no good. We can't do enough. We're rejected. We're abandoned. We're not safe. We're not secure. We're never going to accomplish enough to be valuable. But like Shirzad says in this class, he says conditional love is no love at all. If you feel like you have to meet some certain condition in order to be loved, that's not love. Love loves no matter what. And one of the things about wounds that I think God is trying to show us is that no matter how deep that wound or how bad we wound him, he's able to turn it around. He's like the divine kung fu master. A friend of mine that lived in China called him that. Said God's like the divine kung fu master. Any worse that you can throw at him, he flips it around and he turns it into something good and beautiful. So somebody pointed out to me just yesterday, actually, I'd never seen this before, that the first wound in the Bible, ready for this? Wait for it. It did not come from from the serpent with Eve in the garden or anything else. God created the first wound. Okay, let me say that again. God created the first wound. And this was before the fruit incident in the garden, before the fall, we call it, but before the fruit incident, I call it, because I think it's funnier. But even though it's not funny, but that word is. God created the first wound when he took a rib out of the side of Adam. There had to be a wound for that to happen. And out of that, he created Eve. Adam got his bride, his most completeness, the beauty, the grace, the mother of the whole earth out of his wound. That's a picture, folks. God is showing us something. He rarely just communicates in like a really direct, linear kind of way. He communicates in pictures and feeling, and he wants us to get the essence of things, the spirit of things. And what he's showing is that even before the fruit incident, the fall, it was already in his nature to create the greatest fulfillment out of a wound. And then he carries that forward. There's a lot of illustrations of it, but I'm just going to jump to the next big one. And that is, he creates the bride for his son, Jesus, out of his wound. It says, by his wounds we are healed. And that wound in his side, just like in Adam, that wound in his side brought about Eve, the bride. The wound in the side of Christ brings about his perfect, spotless, radiant, beautiful, unblemished bride. Us who have been cleansed. He took all of the bad stuff that came to us and that we believed and that we pushed forward. He took it all, took it away, nailed it to the cross, put it in the tomb, and then comes back new without it and brings us with him. We're new without it. That's just beyond amazing. Okay, and so one other thing I want to share with you. And this had always confused me. Maybe you've tried to read the book of Revelation and just been like, okay, I don't know what the heck that's about, except it sounds kind of scary. It's not scary. It's beautiful. And near the end of the book of Revelation, this bride of Christ appears as a city. What's up with that? I don't know, but that's how God sees it. And I was listening to somebody the other day, and they said, I love to watch the prophets try to figure out how to describe what they're seeing, because sometimes something that makes so much sense in the moment and is the perfect representation of what you're understanding makes no sense later. But anyways, that's a prophecy problem. But the bride of Christ appears as this city called the New Jerusalem. It's a cube. It's as high as it is wide and as it is long. Okay, so it's a cube. But the interesting thing is that it has 12 gates into the city, and each gate is a pearl. And I used to read that, and I thought, what the heck? That means nothing to me. Okay, but somebody explained recently, and I've known this about a pearl, but they put it in this context, that a pearl is made from a wound in the side of an oyster where an irritant, something harmful, gets in. And God has so designed it to wrap it in this resin-like substance and to create a pearl, something of great worth and beauty. So what God is telling us is that our greatest fulfillment, our greatest purpose, our greatest destiny is going to be entered into through the wounds that we have. That's what the pearl represents. That's why this city, the New Jerusalem, the bride of Christ, all of its gateways are made out of pearls. And I thought, wow, so I've spent so much time trying to not be wounded in my life, trying to prove that I was different than what the lie told me I was, the lie about my identity and worth that came in through the wound. I wanted to be something else. I wanted to prove I was something. I wanted to be funny and smart and popular and liked and loved and belong and all of those things. So I worked real hard to that, but I was working from the wound. Are you living from your wound and whatever that told you about who you are? What did that tell you about who you are? Are you living from your wound, or are you living from the wound of Jesus? Living from your wound or living from his wound? His wound says, hey, all that other junk, that's put away. That's done. I've taken care of it. And you are now this brand new person in me. Beautiful person. You are my bride, the bride of Christ. And it's through your wound that you come to find out your true identity and enter your truest purpose. So I know this is such a short piece on this. It's like we have all been wounded so severely, but what happened and what did that tell you? How did that inform you about your own identity and your worth? Because what did inform you? The liar gets in through the wounds, just like in the Civil War. You know, that judge gets in and tells you, hey, you're no good, you're not this, you're not that, you're not accepted, you're not loved, you're not belonging, you're not smart, you're not popular, you're not whatever. Okay, so he always wants to. He's Satan means adversary. He's your adversary. He's trying to tear you down and get you to live out of that wound. If you believe that it's hopeless, then you're probably just going to be, an alcoholic or drug user or something. And so many people do and destroy their own lives. And that's what he wants. He wants to destroy. The thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. Jesus said, "But I've come so that they can have life and have it to the full." Okay, so that's the purpose of the wound. So the wound can either you can believe it, you can believe the lies that get in through the wound and live out of that wound and destroy your own life and the lives of other people around you if they let you, and or at least be a bad influence, or you can use it as a springboard to go, okay, wait a minute, I'm not going to believe those lies. Well, what's the truth? What does God say about me? He says you are absolutely unconditionally loved. There's nothing he wouldn't give for you. He would move heaven and earth and give his own life to take that away from you and to be with you. He is the good father. Your father, I mean, none of us were reared by angels, right? I mean, all of our fathers were human. Some were better than others, but all of them were human. So no matter what you got from them, he is the perfect father. He is the absolutely loving father that's wanting to get you back to his heart. His heart is not complete without your heart, and that's what he wants is your heart. So I hope this is encouraging. I hope that it puts a little bit of perspective on the purpose of your wound. Why did God allow that? He allowed that so that all those lies that came to you, he could turn it around. You could come to know the truth about his heart for you through means of that wound and those lies that came to you. We've all had them. So our purpose is to spread this, to spread to other people. Hey, you don't have to hide your wound. Whatever you were made to feel, that's not the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth about unconditional love and about God's heart for you and about what Jesus did for you. So, hey, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was meaningful to you. It's been so meaningful to me. But I hope that this was a blessing and put a little bit of perspective on things for you. So, if it did, please drop a note in the comments and let me know. Hey, thanks so much. And until next time, God bless you.